7 years had passed since Chloe last saw Ethan. 7 years filled with longing, unanswered questions, and a heart that refused to let go. She had searched for him, every corner of the city, hoping fate would lead her back to the boy who had once held her heart. But life had been cruel, and before she could reach him, he had moved on. Or so she thought. Chloe adjusted her scarf as she walked down the bustling streets of New York. The winter air bit at her cheeks, but her heart was warmer than ever. Today, she was determined. After years of avoiding the pain of lost love, she was ready for a new beginning. Her best friend, Lila, walked beside her, chatting excitedly about the brunch they had planned. Lila noticed the nervous flutter in Chloe's eyes and nudged her playfully. "You've been quiet all morning. Who are you thinking about?" Chloe smiled faintly, shaking her head. "No one. Just memories." As they turned the corner near the city's iconic park, Chloe froze. Standing under the golden glow of a street lamp was Ethan. He hadn't changed much. Same warm eyes, same gentle smile, but there was a subtle weight in his gaze, a story she hadn't heard. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. Ethan's expression shifted from surprise to cautious hope. "Chloe," he whispered. Chloe's heart raced. "Ethan," she breathed. 7 years of waiting, 7 years of wondering, and here he was, real. Standing before her, Ethan stepped closer, trying to mask the years of hurt in his voice. "I didn't expect. I thought you—" His words trailed off. Chloe reached out, touching his arm gently. "I searched for you," she said softly, her voice barely audible over the city noise. Ethan looked down, emotions warring on his face. "I know," he murmured. "And I wanted to find you too, but things changed." Before they could talk further, a sleek black car pulled up at the curb. Logan, the man Chloe had once dated after Ethan disappeared, stepped out with a confident grin. "Chloe, fancy seeing you here," he said, extending a hand. Ethan's jaw tightened as he watched the man approach. The tension was palpable. Lila, sensing the storm brewing, placed a hand on Chloe's shoulder. "Ignore him. Focus on what matters," she whispered as Logan's eyes flicked to Ethan, clearly sizing him up. "And who's this?" he asked smoothly. Chloe's voice didn't waver. "This is Ethan. Ethan, this is Logan." The air was thick with unspoken rivalry. Logan smiled, but there was an edge to it. "So, you're the reason Chloe was alone all those years?" he asked, the question loaded with accusation. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "I don't think that's your business," he replied evenly, though his heart pounded. Chloe felt torn. She had waited for Ethan for so long, but the life she had lived with Logan was complicated. She couldn't deny the spark she still felt for Ethan, yet she feared the chaos it might bring. Marcus, Ethan's loyal friend, had been following discreetly, observing from a distance. He stepped closer now, sensing the rising tension. Ready to intervene if needed, Chloe suggested they walk in the nearby park, away from the bustling street. The snow was falling lightly, dusting the trees in white. Memories of their teenage days flashed before them, laughing under the same street lamp, sharing secrets, dreams whispered in the night. "Do you remember this place?" Ethan asked, his eyes scanning the familiar surroundings. Chloe nodded, a soft smile forming. "How could I forget?" For the first time in years, the walls between them began to crumble. Chloe found herself laughing at Ethan's jokes, remembering why she had loved him in the first place. Ethan's hand brushed against hers, tentative at first, but a spark ignited, undeniable and powerful. Lila and Marcus exchanged knowing glances, silently cheering for their friends at rising tension, ready to intervene if needed. Scene 4. A walk down memory lane. Chloe suggested they walk in the nearby park, away from the bustling street. The snow was falling lightly, dusting the trees in white. Memories of their teenage days flashed before them, laughing under the same street lamp, sharing secrets, dreams whispered in the night. "Do you remember this place?" Ethan asked, his eyes scanning the familiar surroundings. Chloe nodded, a soft smile forming. "How could I forget?" For the first time in years, the walls between them began to crumble. Chloe found herself laughing at Ethan's jokes, remembering why she had loved him in the first place. Ethan's hand brushed against hers, tentative at first, but a spark ignited, undeniable and powerful. Lila and Marcus exchanged knowing glances, silently cheering for their friends. Scene 5. The first obstacle. Their moment was interrupted by Logan's call. "Chloe, are you still out there? Come on, we have plans." His voice crackled through the phone. Chloe hesitated, looking at Ethan. I need a moment," she said softly, ending the call. Logan's voice dropped, now laced with annoyance. "Fine, but don't take too long." Ethan exhaled slowly. "His complicated," he said, tension in his voice. Chloe nodded, feeling the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future. But in that moment, the only thing that mattered was Ethan, and for the first time in 7 years, she felt hope. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow across the park. Ethan and Chloe stood together, hesitant but drawn to each other like magnets. Words were not necessary, their hearts were speaking. Marcus and Lila watched from a distance, silently supporting the reunion that felt inevitable. As the snow continued to fall, Ethan whispered, "Chloe, can we start over?" Chloe's eyes shimmered with tears, a smile breaking through. "Yes, we can." And just like that, after 7 long years, a new chapter began. But with Logan's shadow still looming, and secrets from the past threatening to surface, the journey was far from over. The morning light spilled across the city skyline, glinting off the high-rise windows, but it did nothing to ease the knot of tension in Jordan's chest. He moved through the crowded streets with his usual calm exterior, yet inside, memories clawed at him relentlessly. 7 years. 7 years of searching, hoping, and endlessly imagining her face in every crowd, every reflection. And now, knowing she had chosen someone else, the same man who had once betrayed him, made the ache almost unbearable. But life, as he had learned, refused to pause for grief. He had bills to pay, work deadlines looming, and a younger sister who relied on him to keep the household afloat. Jordan was good at compartmentalizing. He could shove pain into a corner and keep moving forward. But the corner always whispered. And sometimes, it screamed. Meanwhile, Emily sat in her sunlit apartment across town, scrolling through her phone with a detached air. A part of her wanted to reach out to Jordan, to apologize for the years of absence, for the choices that had torn them apart. But another part, the one scarred by fear and uncertainty, hesitated. The man she had left him for, the one she now regretted, was an anchor she hadn't fully cut loose. She wanted freedom, but freedom carried the sharp sting of guilt, and guilt whispered Jordan's name every night. At her workplace, the tension was palpable. The law firm she had recently joined was prestigious, demanding, and suffocating, yet Emily found herself thriving under the pressure. She loved the challenge, the sense of purpose, but love, the kind that mattered, was a constant reminder of what she had lost. Their paths were destined to cross again, of course. New York was vast, yet fate had a way of conspiring. That evening, at a charity gala she had reluctantly agreed to attend, Emily felt a shiver of recognition before her mind even caught up. Jordan was there, across the polished floor, his tailored suit hugging his athletic frame, his gaze scanning the room with calculated composure. When their eyes met, the world contracted, the hum of chatter and clinking glasses fading to a deafening silence. 7 years melted into a single heartbeat. "Emily," he said, his voice low but carrying the weight of every unsaid word. She felt her throat tighten. "Jordan." The conversation that followed was stilted, awkward, filled with polite deflections and subtle tension. Yet beneath the surface, emotions roiled like a storm threatening to break. They spoke of trivialities, her career, his latest project, but every sentence danced dangerously close to the heart of the matter. As the night wore on, Emily realized she couldn't continue this charade. She excused herself to the balcony, seeking a moment of clarity, the cold night air a balm against the heat of her guilt. Jordan followed, the silent acknowledgement of their shared pain unspoken but understood. "I never stopped thinking about you," he admitted, voice barely audible over the city's hum. Emily's breath caught. She wanted to tell him she had, too, that every night for 7 years, she had imagined a different choice, a different ending. But words failed her. Instead, she reached for his hand, tentative, a fragile bridge between the past and the possibility of a future. The tension between them was undeniable. It wasn't just attraction, it was history, loss, longing, and the fragile hope that what was broken could somehow be made whole. But rebuilding trust was harder than rekindling desire, and both knew the road ahead was fraught with obstacles. Back at his apartment, Jordan replayed the encounter over and over in his mind. He couldn't ignore the warmth that had sparked when their hands touched, nor the ache of betrayal that lingered in her eyes. He knew one thing with absolute certainty. He wanted her back, but he didn't want to hurt her, or himself, in the process. Emily, too, wrestled with conflicting emotions. She wanted to turn back the clock, to rewrite history, but she had to confront the consequences of her choices. And the more she tried to rationalize, the more her heart rebelled, reminding her that love was never convenient, never simple, and always, inevitably messy. Meanwhile, a subplot unfolded with their friends. Sarah, Emily's best friend since college, watched the reunion with quiet concern. She knew Emily's heart, knew Jordan's resilience, and feared the collision of past and present might shatter both of them. Across town, Marcus, Jordan's close friend, recognized the familiar tension, understanding that sometimes the strongest walls were built around the most vulnerable hearts. As the chapter closed, the city skyline glittered like 1,000 tiny possibilities. Jordan and Emily stood together on the balcony, separated by inches but connected by years of shared history and unspoken desire. Both knew the path ahead would be anything but simple, but the first step, fragile as it was, had already been taken. The park was quieter now, the evening air cool and fragrant with blooming flowers. Emily and Alex walked slowly along the winding path, each step heavy with memories, unsaid words, and lingering emotions. The city noises faded behind them, leaving only the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant laughter of children playing near the fountain. "So, you really want to give this a chance?" Alex asked finally, breaking the silence. His voice was soft, careful, as if he were afraid she might vanish if he spoke too loudly. Emily hesitated, biting her lip. "I don't know," she admitted. "I want to, but I'm scared. Scared that history will repeat itself, that I'll get hurt again." Alex nodded solemnly. "I understand. And I don't expect everything to be fixed overnight. I just want to try, to show you that I've changed." They reached a small bench near a flower garden. Emily sat down, letting the petals brush against her fingers. Alex remained standing, hands in his pockets, watching her. "You know," she said quietly, "it's not just about you. It's about me too. I've grown. I'm not the same girl you left 7 years ago. I have my own life now, my own decisions. And I can't just let old feelings control me." "I know," he replied, "and I don't want to control you. I just want to be part of your life, if you'll let me." Her chest tightened. The words were simple, but the weight behind them made her heart race. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to hope. But the wounds of the past weren't easy to forget. As they talked, Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and saw a message from Mia. "Be careful. Don't rush into anything. Remember what happened last time." Emily sighed, putting the phone away. She knew Mia was right, but somehow, this time felt different. There was sincerity in Alex's eyes, something she hadn't seen before. Meanwhile, across town, another figure was watching them from a distance. Lucas, Alex's longtime rival and former friend, had always resented Emily and Alex's connection. He had been the reason some of the conflicts 7 years ago had escalated, and now, seeing them together again, anger bubbled inside him. "She's back with him," Lucas muttered under his breath, clenching his fists. After all these years, he still gets her. Determined not to let history repeat itself, Lucas started plotting. He knew Emily had her own life, her own friends, and a future that didn't involve him, but the jealousy and pride inside him were too strong. Back in the park, Emily and Alex decided to take a walk by the lake. The water reflected the fiery orange of the sunset, and for a moment, everything felt peaceful. They spoke about mundane things, work, their favorite childhood memories, small updates about old friends, but beneath every word was an undercurrent of tension, of emotions waiting to erupt. "I've missed this," Alex said suddenly, stopping to look at her. "Talking to you. Just being near you." Emily looked down, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sleeve. "I've missed it too," she admitted softly. "But I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to fall back into the same trap." Alex reached out, hesitating for a moment before brushing a strand of hair from her face. The gesture was gentle, tender, and sent a shiver down Emily's spine. "Trust me," he whispered. "I won't let anything happen this time. I promise." Emily's heart thudded painfully, torn between fear and desire. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust, but the memory of betrayal lingered like a shadow. That night, Emily returned home, her mind racing. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word, every glance, every touch from the park. Alex had changed, she could feel it, but was change enough? Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Alex. "Sleep well. Tomorrow, I want to show you something. Something I've been working on, for you." Emily smiled faintly, feeling warmth spread through her chest. She knew she shouldn't let hope get the better of her, but she couldn't help it. The next day, Alex took Emily to a small art gallery downtown. The building was quiet, filled with soft light, the smell of paint lingering in the air. He had arranged a private viewing, a rare opportunity, and Emily felt special just being there. "This place," she murmured, her eyes scanning the paintings. "It's beautiful." Alex smiled, guiding her toward the back room. "Not as beautiful as you," he said softly, "but I wanted to show you something personal." Inside, Emily saw a series of paintings, each one depicting moments from their past, the first time they met, the first time they laughed together, the small acts of kindness they shared. It was intimate, raw, and emotional. "I painted these," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I wanted you to know. I've never forgotten. I've never stopped caring." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. She was overwhelmed, not just by the gesture, but by the emotions she had buried for years. "Alex, this. He took her hands in his, holding them gently. "I know it's a lot. I'm not asking for forgiveness yet. Just let me show you I've changed. Let me be someone you can trust." Emily nodded slowly, feeling a mix of hope and fear. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll try. But I need time." Alex smiled, relief washing over him. "Time? We have all the time we need." As they left the gallery, the city lights began to sparkle like stars. They walked side by side, the quiet comfort between them growing with each step. But shadows loomed. Lucas was still plotting, still determined to interfere, and neither Emily nor Alex knew how soon their fragile peace might be threatened. That night, Emily lay in bed again, replaying the events of the day. The paintings, the gallery, Alex's words, they all felt like a new beginning. She closed her eyes, hoping that maybe, just maybe, this time things could be different. Meanwhile, Alex sat at his desk, sketching another painting, his mind focused entirely on Emily. He had made mistakes, yes, but he would spend the rest of his life proving that he could be the man she deserved. Little did they know, the choices they made in the coming days would test their trust, their love, and their ability to face the past without letting it destroy the future. Emily's world felt calm on the surface, but inside, something restless kept stirring. The days after the gallery visit passed quietly, too quietly. Alex texted her every morning, wishing her luck at work, checking if she had eaten, reminding her to rest. It was sweet, consistent, and different from a man she remembered. She tried to keep emotional distance, but the wall she had built over 7 years was slowly cracking, brick by brick. At work, Emily found herself smiling at her phone more than she should. Mia noticed immediately. "You're doing it again," she said during lunch, raising an eyebrow. "That look. The one you had before everything went wrong." Emily sighed. "I know. I'm trying to be careful." "Trying isn't the same as protecting yourself," Mia warned. "People don't change overnight. Especially not men with history." Emily stayed silent, staring at her coffee. She wanted to argue, but fear crept in because part of her agreed. That evening, Alex invited her to dinner. Not anything fancy, just a quiet restaurant near the river. Candlelight reflected off the water outside the window, and soft music played in the background. It felt intimate, intentional, like he was trying to rebuild something gently instead of rushing it. "I didn't want to overwhelm you," Alex said as they sat down. "I just wanted normal." Emily smiled faintly. "Normal feels nice." They talked for hours, laughing over small memories, sharing new dreams. Alex spoke about wanting stability, about how losing her had forced him to confront the worst parts of himself. Emily listened, her heart softening, but doubt lingered quietly in the corners of her mind. Then Alex said something that made her pause. "There's something I never told you," he said, eyes lowering. "Something I should have said years ago." Emily's body tensed. "What is it?" He hesitated too long. Before he could answer, Emily's phone buzzed. An unknown number. She ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Finally, she excused herself and stepped outside. The air was cold against her skin as she answered. "Emily," a male voice said calmly. "We need to talk. It's about Alex." Her heart dropped. "Who is this?" "Lucas." The name hit her like a punch. "Why are you calling me?" "Because you deserve the truth. And Alex will never tell you himself." Emily felt sick. "I don't want to hear this." "You should," Lucas replied. "Because 7 years ago wasn't an accident. And what's happening now isn't either." The line went dead. Emily stood frozen, her breath shallow, memories crashing back. She went inside, trying to act normal, but Alex noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing," she lied. "I just need to go home." Alex looked concerned but didn't push. He walked her to her car, brushing her hand lightly as if to reassure her. Emily drove away, but her hands trembled on the steering wheel. That night, she couldn't sleep. Lucas texted her an address. Curiosity and fear battled inside her. Finally, she decided she needed answers. The next afternoon, Emily met Lucas at a quiet cafe far from the city center. He looked older, sharper, but his eyes still held the same calculating edge she remembered. "Why now?" she asked, sitting across from him. "Why come back into my life?" Lucas leaned back. "Because you're about to make the same mistake again." "Alex changed," Emily said firmly. Lucas laughed softly. "That's what he wants you to believe." He pulled out his phone and slid it across the table. Photos, emails, messages. Emily's hands shook as she scrolled. Alex, with another woman. Recent timestamps. Conversations that were emotional, intimate, unfinished. "He never stopped," Lucas said. "You were never the only one." Emily felt like the air had been sucked out of her lungs. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because 7 years ago," Lucas continued, "Alex didn't just leave you. He chose someone else. And when that failed, he came crawling back, just like now." Tears blurred Emily's vision. "You're lying." "I wish I was." She left the cafe in pieces. When Alex called that night, she didn't answer. The next day, he showed up at her apartment. "Emily, please," he said through the door. "I know something's wrong." She opened it, eyes cold. "How long?" Alex froze. "How long what?" "How long were you lying to me?" she demanded, throwing the phone at him with the messages open. His face drained of color. "You went through my..." "Answer me." Silence. That was enough. So it's true, she whispered. You promised me. You swore you changed. I was confused, Alex said desperately. I never meant to hurt you. Again, she laughed bitterly. You never mean to, yet you always do. She stepped back. Leave. Emily. Leave. Alex stood there, broken, realizing he had lost her again, this time for good. Days passed. Emily shut everyone out. She stopped replying to texts, stopped going out. Her past had returned not as love, but as a reminder of why she had survived alone for 7 years. Then, one evening, Mia came over unannounced. You can't disappear like this, she said, hugging Emily tightly. Emily finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Why did I believe him? Because you loved him, Mia replied gently. And that's not a weakness. But fate wasn't done yet. Emily received one last message from Alex. I need to see you. Not to fix us. Just to tell you the truth. Against her better judgment, she agreed. They met at the old bridge, the same place where they had said goodbye 7 years ago. Alex looked destroyed. I lied, he admitted. But not the way Lucas told you. Emily crossed her arms. I don't want excuses. I was trying to end things, he said. Before I came back to you. I didn't want unfinished ties. Too late, Emily replied. I know, Alex said quietly. But Lucas manipulated everything back then. He wanted us to break. He still does. Emily froze. What? I left because he threatened you, Alex said. 7 years ago. I never told you because I thought protecting you meant disappearing. The truth hit her slowly. Pain. Anger. Confusion. Nothing was clear anymore. And that was the most dangerous place to be. Emily stood frozen on the bridge, the cold wind cutting through her coat, Alex's words echoing in her head again and again. Threatened you. Disappearing to protect you. Lies layered on top of fear, fear wrapped in silence. She wanted to scream at him, to hit him, to run. But instead, she just stared at the city lights reflecting in the water below, wondering how 7 years of her life had been shaped by choices she never knew existed. Why tell me now? She finally asked, her voice barely steady. Why wait until everything is already broken? Alex swallowed hard. Because I thought you were safer not knowing. And then I saw you again, and realized the truth was the only thing I owed you, even if it cost me everything. Emily turned to face him. You don't get credit for honesty after years of lies. I know, he said quietly. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just don't want Lucas controlling your life anymore. That name tightened her chest. The next morning, Emily made a decision she had avoided for years. She searched Lucas's past. Court records, business disputes, restraining orders. Patterns emerged. Control. Manipulation. Obsession. Not just with her, but with winning. She realized something terrifying. Lucas never loved her. He wanted to own the story. That night, Lucas texted her again. You met him, didn't you? Emily didn't reply. His lying. Always hers. Still, she stayed silent. Then the final message came. Meet me. One last time. Or Alex pays for it. Fear exploded through her veins. Emily called Alex immediately. No answer. Her heart raced as she grabbed her coat and keys. She told Mia where she was going, just in case, and drove to the address Lucas sent. It was an empty warehouse near the outskirts of the city. The kind of place where secrets went to die. Lucas stood inside, hands in his pockets, smiling like this was a game he had already won. You really came, he said. Where's Alex? Emily demanded. Relax, Lucas replied. He's fine. For now. What do you want? She asked. Lucas stepped closer. The truth. From you. Admit you never stopped loving him. Emily laughed bitterly. This is what this is about. Your ego. You chose him over me, Lucas snapped, the mask slipping. Back then. And you would again. I didn't choose anyone, Emily said firmly. You manipulated me. Both of us. Lucas's expression darkened. Careful. No, Emily continued, voice stronger now. I spent 7 years blaming myself. Thinking I wasn't enough. But the truth is, you couldn't stand losing. Silence filled the warehouse. Then Lucas smiled slowly. You always were smarter than he gave you credit for. Alex's voice suddenly echoed from behind. Let her go. Emily spun around. Alex stood there, bruised but unbroken. Lucas laughed. I knew you'd show up. Police sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Emily realized Mia had called them. Everything unraveled fast after that. Lucas tried to run. He didn't make it far. When the police took him away, Emily felt something she hadn't felt in years. Closure. Days later, Emily sat alone in her apartment, staring at the city skyline. Her phone buzzed. Alex. She didn't answer. Not immediately, because some endings don't need to be rushed. Weeks passed. Emily focused on herself. Therapy. Work. Healing. For the first time, she wasn't surviving. She was choosing. One evening, she received a handwritten letter. From Alex. I don't expect a second chance. I just wanted you to know, loving you was never the mistake. Losing you was. If you ever want to talk, I'll be here. If not, I'll still be grateful you existed in my life. Emily folded the letter carefully. She didn't cry. She smiled. Months later, fate intervened quietly. They ran into each other at a bookstore. No tension. No drama. Just two people who had finally grown. They talked. Then coffee. Then laughter. This time, there were no promises. No pressure. Just honesty. The ending wasn't fireworks. It was peace. And sometimes, that's a real love story. The end. Fire.